To Denise Ejo, the CEO of Cornwall Cancer Foundation. I would like to welcome you to our Cornwall Cancer Foundation page. Our goal is to create an awareness of the challenges, support and guidance experienced in managing cancer care for sufferers, family, carers and friends. To engage with us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Click on
of hope. Good morning, Dr. Denise Ejo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
So tell us, how are you feeling this morning? I'm quite delighted that you're sharing with us today. I'm sure a lot of people have been calling for you to share your journey so far, including I and Nkoli. We've always said it here on the show that we really would love to hear it. And today you're doing us the honor. So let's have you take it away.
Okay. Morning, everyone. Morning, viewers, and welcome back. So we're talking about my journey. I'm going to talk. I think the reason this has come up is the amount of deaths that have come up in the last one week as a result of listening to people who have battled with cancer. So today I thought it was best to now come out and definitely share really the journey and how it is. And I titled it The Journey of Hope. Why is it the journey of hope? Because firstly, I'm still alive. Secondly, it's been a 6.5-year journey. Thirdly, it's had its own challenges. But lots of things have made a significant impact in making sure that I can get where we are today. So let's start. 2016. 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer metastasizing in the brain. As most of you know, I talk about it a lot. And I had to understand or focus on what it was and what it meant. So where are we going to start from? Firstly, understanding how I got there. I didn't know how I got there. Let me not lie to you. I had a basic headache. I always say it. I had a basic headache. And the headache was interesting because it was just a constant headache that just wouldn't go anywhere. And it's taken me 6 years to actually share this on television. So let me try. The pain was excruciating. Every doctor I went to couldn't tell me what it was. It was for 6 months. It was persistent. So firstly, if you have any persistent disease, please don't put it aside because it can be something more serious. I always took painkillers until I couldn't drive, and I actually hit a car. And as soon as I hit the car, I was like, I didn't see the car. What happened? And I got to where I was going. Luckily, I wasn't driving fast because I had an excruciating headache. So, and the funniest thing was, to those who know Lagos, it was a Falomo roundabout. Can you imagine? Falomo roundabout. And I went through it anyway. And eventually he said, okay, and see a doctor who said, let's have an MRI scan. Because he couldn't find anything else wrong with me. And I thought, okay, fine, let's have an MRI scan. And we had an MRI scan. And the saddest thing for me was the challenges. So for all those that go through cancer patients, you might look at me today and say, oh, she looks all right. She said, no. I also had, like every one of us that deal with cancer, have to fundraise. So please don't ever assume that you going through cancer means you don't fundraise. We all fundraise along the way. There's no cancer patient on the face of this earth except to come from a well-off family or an organization is paying for you. You are going to need financial support. And so these are the realities of the journey, no matter what anyone thinks or says. It's not as simple as that. And I found out I had this, and when I got the report, let me tell you the biggest shock of it all. When I got the report said expected life expectancy 1 to 3 months. 1 to 3 months. That was when I knew, I've hit it. And then we started to navigate how I was going to get there. And I started. So first I had to have gamma knife surgery, which is the one where you see my head with the scars on it. And I've had that not gamma knife. I had to have it cut. And I've had that 3 times. The last one I had it last year. And I remember coming on AIT 2014, a week after, I think 3 days after I came out of hospital. And I had the first scar, first cut. And after that, they said, oh, they found one, they've removed one, but because it's multiple, once you have multiple tumors, it means that you have cancer. If it's one single one, you do not necessarily have cancer. It can be benign or whatever. It can be just a lump. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have cancer. And that's it. I had my first cut. That's how my head looked at the back. And till today, that's how my head looks at the back. So it doesn't really matter. You can't see it, can you? So let's move on. And I had my first cut. And I started my journey in 2017. By the end of 2016, by the time I entered 2017, my head was massive, as in massive. It's going down now. I'm very proud. It's going down again. Every time you have brain surgery, your head becomes big, and by the time you get better, it goes down. And it takes time, but it does go down. It's just very painful. It takes a lot of time. And I had to go through that. Then I had my gamma knife surgery. I had to do chemo. No, I had gamma knife surgery after that. I had to have gamma knife surgery. We removed 4 tumors. By this time, I already knew I had brain surgery. So I'd already had my first brain surgery, and I had gamma knife surgery, which removed 4 additional tumors. So within a space of 3 months, I had 6 tumors removed from my brain. One from the cut and 4 from gamma knife. Gamma knife is a radioactive system of having membrane surgery without necessarily cutting it. And January, I started chemo because I was diagnosed with all the while from August to December. They were trying to work out, did I have cancer? The biopsy said breast cancer, but because we couldn't find the lump, they kept saying, was it an unknown? So we've established it is actually true breast cancer, and there's nothing. That's how the gamma knife surgery looks, and it is actually, I think, the second most painful surgeries, cancer thing I've ever done, because this one requires them to screw this thing into your head, 4 spaces, and then attach you onto a scanning bed, and on that bed you are now there. My first time I was on that bed for 4.5 hours. By the time I came out, I was crying. I had never cried as much as I did that day, and I've still got one more shot at it if any more tumors come up that cannot be removed. So understanding that living with cancer means living with cancer. So that was my gamma knife surgery, and then we started chemo. My chemo was very interesting. I've come to realize now that many people do not know what chemo is and assume that they do. Chemo is like a, what do you call it, a
Aware that the technical department will get her virtual device up and running and perhaps find out if there's a network on our side, but quite explicit. And I think it is much more revealing coming from, the person who's gone through the ordeal. But it fascinates me that regardless of the journey, she's still standing and strong. And speaking about it in person, 4 gamma knife surgeries in the space of, 3 months, and having to go through chemo and losing a part of your hair and the scar. All right, so we have her back on air now, so let's let her continue. Over to you, Dr. Egja. Perhaps let's allow her to get her thoughts together. Perry, I mean, you look so stunned into shock.
Yeah, I'm stunned, and for the fact that this coincides with Kakaki Cancer Awareness that comes up, the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. For me, it's the story of resilience, and for something that started with a headache, Let's go back to her and to have her continue. You can go on, Doc.
Over to you, Doc.
So where did we stop?
Well, you stopped at where you cried and cried a lot,
I cried.
Yeah.
I cried. I've not cried for it because it was the screwing, the screws. They screw it into your head. So, and I've had it twice. So I'm not looking for. I know I've got one more to go. I've got one more opportunity to have it if if I need it. So I've accepted that. Anyway, I went into January and I went in with a positive mindset. I spent my Christmas in Nigeria and then went back and started my chemo. So to those who don't know what chemo is, first and foremost, chemo is nothing to worry about. And please stop running away from chemo. It is a drip that goes into your system. And at least for me, it has helped me to still stay alive 6.5 years later. So there's no need running away from it. A lot of people are diagnosed with cancer and they find out and then they say, I'm not taking chemo. Please, it's not necessarily the best option for you. Too many people are dying of chemo, of cancer. And if we're saying that 90% of people who have cancer in the African continent die of it, is it worth not taking the chemo? Sometimes we have to weigh our pros and cons. And my own, I have taken chemo non-stop for the last 6.5 years. And I took it this morning before I started this channel. So please take chemo. I took chemo for the first cycle, and then I thought I had a break because I have a maintenance drug. And within less than a year, I found out that another set of tumors had grown, and we started again, and I had to have another gamma knife surgery. So I had another gamma knife surgery, and like I said, it's the most painful, so I dread it. And I just talking about it makes me dread it. And I went through that, and we started another chemo after that, and then it didn't came back again, and I had to have another brain surgery, and we cut it again. Why is all this important? It's not so much talking about cancer as in, I just want to share my story. I want you to understand that when you look at this person on screen, I want you to have hope. I want you to believe that you can get there. After that, I've gone again and had another brain surgery. The last one I had was because the tumor, I now have lesions in my brain as a result of the what do you call it? Radiation. Radiation is the gamma knife surgery, and they had to remove it. I started to hemorrhage last year, September. And I knew something was wrong because I don't have nosebleeds, and I started to have nosebleeds, and I boarded a flight from Ireland to London, and I just saw blood all over my clothes. I just prayed all the way till I got to London, and I said, when I get to London, if I have to get in the ambulance and go home, then let it be that way. And I went and had my last my last surgery when was that? March of last year. And from the minute you have surgery for cancer, or you start to go through different challenges, you have a lot of challenges you have to go through. And I want you to understand, you go through emotional challenges, mental health challenges, physical challenges, financial challenges, emotional. All these are things that are part of your cancer journey. Please do not remove them and say, I can deal with this, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with all, I have to deal with all of it. So everybody that is on this cancer journey, you have to go deal with it. Find the right friendship groups for whatever state you're in. Find the right relationships that matter to you, that will take you where you want to go. Don't sit there and say, it's just the cancer, it's just the cancer treatment. No, it's not just the cancer treatment. You see this picture of me on this board? I love it. It's a highlight for me because I learned to realize that if I ever needed to be bald, it doesn't matter anymore. I think I still look good. You need to learn to love yourself in this journey. It was hard. It was sometimes I sit down, I'm talking to my children and I'm crying. Why am I crying? That's my chemo, sitting on my chemo chair. And I'm crying. I'm crying because I'm in pain. I live on painkillers every day. So what? I still have life. Whatever it is you're going through, please just remember this. It's a journey of hope. It made me realize that God was with me. It made me realize the importance of a relationship with my God. We all serve one God or the other in Nigeria. So why is it that we separate? God is awesome. My God is awesome. I don't mess around with my relationship with God. And I think that I would not want anybody to remove your spiritual relationship with your cancer journey. Please don't remove them. Align them and trust that God will take you through. He has a plan. Every one of us is going to die one day. So why do we hide under this thing? I don't hesitate to talk about it. A lot of people can't talk about cancer. You can't talk about cancer because not every single one of us is bold enough. It's taken me 2 years to publicly come. I've been on this television screen for 2 years, and this is the first time I'm showing these. Only because I've had to sit down and watch a lot of people I've met from this, in fact, from this television channel who have died in the last 1 week. And that has really hurt. That maybe I need to talk and let people see that I'm as human as you are. I might laugh, I might smile, I might be whatever, but I still take chemo every morning and every night.
Wow.
I still sit through all of this.
Okay. Harry, you want to go first?
Yeah, that's a story of resilience there. I would like to say a big thank you, for sharing the story. So for me, for example, apart from a headache, which of course was like the early warning signs that you had, even according to your story, at that point you didn't even know, it has gotten to that level of cancer. What are other signs that that people can look out for as early signs, and then for a lot of people, begin preparations, medical preparations, as well as mental preparations to deal with the aftermath of the development?
Okay, so firstly, we're talking about signs. One of the things you realize, and you don't realize, is you're very tired. You start to get tired. And you, for a funny reason, because of where you live or what job you do, you always have an excuse. It's because I had a long day. Mine, I was a teacher. I was head of a school in Nigeria, and I had a lot of work to do. But I was always tired. I used to have a nap at 2 o'clock on the spot, and I'll wake up at 5. I didn't realize that was one of my signs. That's apparently one of the biggest signs you have. I had a headache. You don't associate headache necessarily with cancer.
Yeah.
You don't associate diarrhea with cancer. You don't necessarily associate everyday illnesses with cancer. But actually, cancer always stems from an everyday illness. That means you had something. Like with diarrhea, you can have diarrhea. It comes, goes. Please get it checked. Early diagnosis is one thing that, in hindsight, if I had understood cancer to headaches, I may have taken it differently, because I must have known that I had cancer a year before, because my mom died a year before, and I knew I was having persistent headaches, and I even said it to her before she died. But I didn't understand what it was all about. So persistent headache, persistent illness is a key warning sign. Once you've got it, having your yearly checks, a lot of the time, I don't know, it ranges depending on what you're doing, but sometimes little things are cheaper than expensive. Having a breast scan, a mammogram, is cheaper than having chemo treatment or having your breast cut off. Having prostate is cheaper to have a PSA than for you to have prostate cancer. So let's look at it. Let's weigh it properly. Having diarrhea, going to a doctor for your bloods is cheaper than finding out that you have cancer. So just every day, once a year, go and have. I learned, because I was very angry with my GP. I went back and I said, but I came here less than a year ago, and my next check is due in 2 months' time. How did I get where I am? But the only thing he said to me is, Denise, even now we can't see the cancer, so yours is different. Let's accept that. However, I've learned from it.
All right. Just hearing you speak, I would want to ask you, how have you been able to manage your mental health and your heart health? Because some people would say in spaces like this, in conditions like this, you would be thinking quite a lot. How do you manage your mental health?
Very honestly, I am an advocate for everyone to seek for help. I have a counselor as of now. I went through a very bad time with my mental health when I got to year 5, because statistically, by the time you get to year 5, you are not supposed to be alive. So for 1 whole year, I lived in anxiety that I would not get past that line. I have a counselor, I have an occupational health therapist, I have a physiotherapist. I have what the medical team call a multidisciplinary support system. My spiritual life is very, very big for me because it means in my downs, I learned to praise God. In my worst times, I don't have time to sit down and wallow in self-pity. I actually spend time in that's what I can do. I can't sit down and cry about it. But the pressures that go with it is hard and it's real, and it it doesn't go away. So for instance, I've had a series of sessions, and I'm going back again, and I request for it every year just to help me to have the strategies to navigate the next steps, because every year you will face one challenge or the other. So don't run away from help, and don't allow stigmatization to stop you from getting the help you require.
I'd like to come from the path of knowledge now. So for those, for example, who have been able to identify some of all these early warning signs to get to this stage, are there resources available for patients or those that are in the early stage of cancer to begin to understand how to deal with it? Because I'm sure that if they have that such knowledge, then they'll be able to deal with it and understand. So are there resources that are available, virtual or in person? So resources transcends to probably books or other sort of resources to help people deal with it.
I would say to you there are. Okay, one of these things you have to recognize is this conversation alone is already on YouTube. It will go on YouTube later, and some people can watch it and see somebody who has the disease talking about it. There are books available. For one thing, I will say to you that in Nigeria, where we are all talking about, the hospitals provide, you must always be able to find somebody. I'm not asking you to find just anybody. Look for a doctor that can talk you through it. Then go and do your homework on what works, what you can see and understand, and have your questions. Every time I'm going for an appointment, I have a list of questions that list everything I need to ask about where I'm going. So when you find yourself, if you find yourself in this, you're sitting down saying, okay, so what are my conversations? Your conversation, what is it? What does it mean? What am I supposed to expect? What do I need to know? Where do I find material on this thing? The internet has a lot of information. You can watch videos of survivors. You can watch videos about the treatment plans. You can watch videos from people who are telling you what to and to not do, and encouraging you how to navigate. You can watch videos of people who share how they went through the journey. And until you are talking to someone who has the disease, sometimes you think it's abstract. But 1 in 2 people will get cancer. So why are we talking about it in abstract?
Absolutely. I mean, it's been stated that 72,000 cancer deaths annually rising, and women are also on the rise with 40,647. And it's given that the cases are rising to, Perry, 102,000 new cases of cancer every year. Well, it's also said that breast cancer is leading, with liver cancer second and prostate cancer third. However, I do say that you're a remarkable woman who has shared her journey of hope this morning, and I'm sure you're inspiring so many people to actually hold up the torchlight of hope. Thank you so much, Dr. Dennis Ejo, for sharing. Thank you. Well, that's the much we can take from her this morning, but Perry, it was a